students teachers of Reddit. What's the best forgot to turn off the mic story during virtual learning? Well, it happened in one of the classes. The teacher was going through a rough time and the class could feel it. We assured her that we had done our homework and that she could take rest for the time being. She agreed and told she would switch her mic off and sleep for a while. As we did whatever, her husband was right beside her and the mic wasn't turned off. She told, "I am so lucky to have these students," and started sobbing to her husband. We all heard this, but kept quiet to prevent her being embarrassed. She slept well during that time and we sent her a thank you gift collectively. Not virtual, but I was a guest speaker at a music college last year. My mic was still on when I finished. Went backstage and said, "Well, that was effing horrible." I wasn't called back to speak again. Edit. For those curious of the aftermath, I heard it out of the speakers and an immediate uproar of laughter ensued. I would have laughed had I been a student, but as a working professional it was one of the single most awkward experiences of my life. I'm not a student, but work in the tech industry. I've been in meetings where people forget to mute themselves on large company calls with hundreds or thousands of attendees, and we'll hear a fart and then a toilet flush. That's about as interesting as these meetings get though. In a thermodynamics class, one of the students said, "Holy sh, this is so much," after covering a large set of equations related to fugacity. Everyone found it relatable. Ironically, my ed teacher forgot to turn off his mic and camera and proceeded to get in a very heated argument on the phone with his ex-girlfriend who he has a kid with. Did I mention that she's also a teacher at our school? Yeah, most awkward 5 minutes of my life before he realized. During a virtual gym class for my high school, a girl forgot to mute herself during a workout and yelled some obscene things very loudly. It never occurred to me that there would be virtual gym class, but it makes sense, I guess. Also, they should allow obscenity in schools, especially in gym class, creative writing, and computer programming. Somebody in my class forgot to turn off the mic and started singing along to a song and loudly. Somebody told her and there was this odd whoop noise and then she cut off. I was producing a video for some university professors on a specific medical thing for a virtual learning course. I was all set up to shoot the process, and the teachers excused themselves to the next office to regroup and have a chat. I already had their wireless lav mics attached and fed to my camera, so when I sat down at the camera and put on my headphones I immediately heard their conversation. They were criticizing me, saying they couldn't believe they hired someone so young, inexperienced in that particular medical field, how I looked, how I asked questions, etc. Oops, at least I made them a fine video. These days I don't put my headphones on until we're about to shoot. A student's mother had the habit of standing just off camera and very closely observing her kid. I know this because one time the student forgot to disable the mic. Everyone heard how the mother was coaching the student how to act. Don't look my way, smile, pay attention. It was next level helicoptering, right on the edge of abuse in my opinion. Our school has a good counselor and the student is getting help. All the teachers have been advised to limit contact with the mother and not make waves, lest she withdraw the student or redouble her controlling behavior. I worry about it. During my English class, this one girl forgot to mute herself while my teacher was talking. She almost deafened all of us on the Zoom call answering her mother's questions. Her mother, from a distance, "What class are you in?" Oh, yelling, "English." Her mother, "Oh, the hot teacher? Oh, yeah, that guy." Now, even I'll admit my teacher is fairly attractive, but it does take it to another level when you get your own mother involved. Thankfully, our teacher is a chill guy and thought the whole thing was just kind of funny, and kind of just gave a general reminder to the class to keep mics muted. She didn't say anything for the rest of the class. This isn't too bad, but yesterday during our stretch break in the middle of our 1.5-hour English class, I remembered to turn off my video, but not my mic, so everyone heard me watching the Spark Notes video for the book we were discussing. I'm a student, and my teacher was talking to his wife at first. Pretty normal, right? Well, she leaves, then he gets on the phone and says, "Yeah honey, my wife just left. Wanna come over?" The entire class went batch bro. My son calls his tablet is fixed because when I first got it and the battery would die, I'd tell him I was going to fix it. So imagine his pre-K teacher's surprise last spring when he asked me if he could have his fix now that he was done with school. Lol, I cracked up, held up the fix in question, and explained what he meant. I was listening to a radio station where they call up someone who won't call a person back after a date and find out why. This dude was like, I work with this chick. We had a good time. I'd key she won't call me back. They call her, and she explained that on one of their Zoom meetings he didn't pause his camera and started manscaping his privates and everyone in the company saw. To no surprise, she did not accept another date. Oh man, this is perfect. I have a story from earlier this week. We were doing the usual syllabus week introductions, and after his introduction this guy must have thought he had muted his mic because he let out the hugest fart, hahaha. Folks couldn't help but laugh and he quit out of the group session, honestly waiting to see if he's still in the class or if he dropped it. In a math class I was in last year, we were taking a test, which you have to turn your mic on for their way of trying to prevent cheating. Some girl apparently forgot that hers was on and started belting out Stand By You by Rachel Platten at the top of her lungs. It went on for the entire song and she was still humming it when I finished the test and left the call. Work situation. I asked a question on Zoom from someone and he didn't answer. No video on. I asked again to confirm he was there. Silence. Hello? He then panics and says, sorry, I'm peeing. Did I need to know that? I didn't. Dude, my one teacher forgot to turn off his camera and his son was changing in the background and the son kept on looking at the camera. In one of my classes, this girl wrote in the Zoom chat, this is so effing boring, not realizing that the professor could see it. Not really a mixed story, but a friend of mine Facebook stalked a cute guy in their tute, before realizing she was still screen sharing. I'm a tutor, and my student forgot to mute themselves before leaving for a 5-minute break. She had a beautiful conversation with her brother about how much of a C I was, and how much I sucked and how poor I look my house look. Luckily, I always record my tutoring sessions, so I finish as if nothing happened, and sent the clip straight to my supervisor. She got booted off of the tutoring program, as I'm the only tutor advanced enough for her grade that is able to take her. My teacher got scolded by his wife, another teacher in school, because she needed to work and he didn't repair her computer. He was a computer technology teacher and he just keeps saying, sorry honey, I forgot. I won't do it again. I promise it will take 2 seconds to fix it. In loop because the wife went on a little rant of how he always forgot things. When he saw the mic was still on he blushed and after a moment of silence just went on with the lesson. Not really turn off the mic, but you know that feature of pressing the spacebar to talk? Well, someone in my class was too used to pressing the spacebar to pause a video and mistakenly pressed it to pause the class to speak to someone in their home but would instead say nonsense while the teacher was speaking. This happened several times BTW. Online class student here. Probably when your classmate got bored and starting watching YouTube in the middle of sessions on that strict teacher. And entire class got pretty hard warning since the teacher can sense you immediately when you got bored by switching your attention to other things behind those screens. Someone in our science class didn't realize he was unmuted and called a widely disliked kid the hard RN word. Somehow he didn't even get in trouble. My college class got to hear me tell my dog about how good he is. This isn't a turn off mic story, but it's as awkward. YouTube has those targeted ads that play. My cooking teacher left the room while playing a YouTube video of how to peel an orange with a knife. Targeted ad starts playing and an advert for shaving balls turns on. He comes back inside the room and fast walks over to the computer and skips the ad. Everyone avoided eye contact and it was probably the most awkward experience in school. My GF unmuted herself when I joked to her mum about just killing myself. Her teacher was confused as heck. This was a conference call for work, but it was a big call with like 12 people and I'm newish, so I was really just listening as the senior analysts were discussing something. Call was going on for a while, so I took my laptop into the bathroom with me to take a flush the toilet, and everyone just stopped talking. Turns out I didn't mute my mic and everyone just heard a toilet flushing in the middle of a meeting. Luckily no one cared and they all laughed about it, but I was mortified. I had a student give a smart A response to a question I asked, and before I could respond his mom starts chewing into him and hitting him with a chancla. His mic and video was on for the whole thing. I wasn't the one on class, but my brother. He was in class while I made lunch, but it was my first time making rice on my own. So I asked him if he could go and see if it's done. He didn't hear me, so I screamed at him the same question. He then turned to face me and screamed, "What? It's not done. Wait a minute." And when he looked back at his class, his teacher was telling him to turn down the mic. He almost got an eardrum popped. Sorry if I can't explain it better. English is not my first language. I'm a student. I was in an online class, and while I had the camera turned off but the microphone did not, I was seeing memes when suddenly a meme appeared in which the typical moaning joke appeared, only they were not the typical ones. If not others, then the whole class heard it, and the teacher preferred not to leave comments. So this one time I was in a marching band meeting on Zoom over summer break, and while the band director was showing us a PowerPoint about some hacker joined the call and hacked the screen so it said the N-word. PS, my band director is black.